What's up, my doom scrolling friends? It's now time for an engineer build, together with some bomb throwing tox dwellers. Now I had to start all over with the clockworks I was using before this one, because I realized relatively early that it is not as good as I thought it would be. The cosplay of sieging robots shooting bombs. So starting all over using a different race was certainly for a better good, as Toxwella are meant to be used by an engineer. So the overall idea went from close to terrible to good, if not very good. I'll show you the build in the planner, where I already drew some lines via Microsoft Paint to show a few of those interactions. So Battle Mage, after all, was working way better than I could have imagined. Bloody Massacre is a requirement for Marked for Death, as the creature would not attack anything after provoking without this one. Carcinogen and Breath of Death, I'm still not entirely sure how. Carcinogen and Breath of Death, I'm still not entirely sure how effective these are. I saw some higher damage values in the battle history, but there could be something better after all. Trapped in a Box for this build is a pretty good anointment, as not only does it trigger the click boom trait on the creatures, I also have this trait on 2 nether stones, so 5 out of 6 of my creatures benefit from it. And now we have to take a look at the artifacts and especially at the spell gems. So the first creature is using an artifact with some speed and attack bonuses, together with Confused and Vulnerable in the trick slot to help with some utility. Conjoin in the spell slot, but we're gonna talk about all the spell gems in a moment. Then Nether Stone has the trait Click Boom, which of course triggers some bomb explosion and has some pretty good stats on top of that. The next creature goes with defense and speed bonuses, even though I might switch those out to something more aggressive, as this one copies the adjacent creature's moves with the trait on its stone called Projection. This is the one from the Proxygeist, so it has a 50% chance to copy the adjacent creature's moves. The next one goes with speed and attack bonuses again, together with Confused and Vulnerable, and its stone has wild stabs, so if this one is defending, it attacks random enemies 3 up to 5 times. On top of the wild stab trait on the stone, some pretty good stats. And on its stone, it's the trait Inky Escape. It's the one from the Kraken that increases a creature's speed by 200% and gives it agile when it does not have gained or reduced speed in the battle. Next one goes with Spin the Wheel on the trait, as it is way too good to not have it with all the bomb explosions that can be reapplied via engineer traits, and it also works with Master of Tox Dwellers. So this one is way too good to not implement it. And again, the stone has Click Boom as a trait. So the last one goes with a lot of defense bonuses again, and the Nether Stone has a trait called Sloth that lets enemies start battle with minus 30% attack and intelligence. This is because if enemies also have bomb, they're gonna have reduced stats by minus 20% other than health. So they start battles with a total of minus 50% stats. This is to help with some sort of momentum. So let's talk about all the spell gems for a moment, because the combo potential is pretty insane. 5 of the Tox Dwellers are pretty much using the same setup: Explosive Arrow, Short Fuse and Conjoin. And the point is that they have a 90% chance to cast after an action, and because the engineer itself has a perk that lets all spell gems that interact with bomb have infinite charges, you can use it indefinitely. So the first one with Mark of Death uses Provoking, of course, and after that it attacks a lot, so it makes a lot of sense to use a 90% chance after provoking and attacking, of course. Short fuse goes with some chance after defending. This is because I will also trigger Guardian Force via Battle Mage enchantment. This means every other Toxwiller will have this one as an ethereal spell gem, which triggers via attacking and Battle Mage. So all of my creatures will defend if those are attacking. So as a result, the combo potential is pretty insane. Flourish to implement some sort of reviving mechanisms, as this is the one thing that this team build is lacking. Same as Life Orb with the same purposes. So I was already winning on game difficulty 9, but let's not test our luck too much. Let's go with 5 and see if I can clear a realm. Well, I guess Zante is a bit too much to ask for, but let's try. They are barely losing HP. And as easy as the first fights were looking, if my creatures get nuked, I have barely any reviving mechanisms, so I guess the build is pretty devastating, but also kind of fragile. It's looking good, but better not judge too early. They might revive or something. Okay. So far to this. Now there must be still another boss available. Shackler is pretty much immune to all forms of damage except indirect one. As long as we don't get nuked, we have a chance. Let's better cast some revives. Yeah, close, but win is win. So let's do some Gates of the Gods where game difficulty doesn't matter, I guess. So these fights are already won by the Tox Dwellers. So let's try some more easier ones. Maybe this one. Yeah, this is how usually fights go on difficulty 1. Let's do one more. Alright, so far to the Gates of the Gods. Alright, so that's about it. If everything goes right, the next upload is gonna be about a tower defense called Gnomes. Very certain you guys will like that. I'm gonna try to reach the highest round possible, which might be not that high because the game is hard as fuck. And I guess the next upload for Siralim Ultimate will be about a beginner-friendly cleric. But I have to carefully evaluate what I want to use and what not, to not overcomplicate things. Alright, that's it for now. See ya in the future.